Yeah.
Okay, we're going to start the recording. Ronnie Rowe Jr., we are so excited to meet you virtually. It's Jill and Dan with I'm Here with Magazine, and we get to interview the, you are just the best, and beautiful rising actor in Canada and the USA from the show Porter on BET and CBC. So we've been watching your show for probably like 2-3 days, obsessively, over and over.
Well, she has.
I have.
I've seen your other stuff.
Awesome.
Dan's a big fan of you on Star Trek.
Yeah, I saw your Discovery. We just watched the trailer this morning of the Toronto Man
from Toronto. Yeah.
That just dropped today. You must be very excited.
Yeah, it dropped today. It comes out on the 24th, and it's funny. It's really funny. Kevin Hart's he's good
for that one.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. It's fun, man.
So let's talk about what it is like to be the rage in Canadian TV right now. The Porter is everywhere on posters and billboards around our city in Calgary. I've seen a few. And CBC shows are just the best. We love CBC up here. Awesome. And when this came across my table and seeing the ads for it in February, it's already aired the first season. It's out on CBC Gem right now. But it made quite the splash. You know, we've got some new faces. We've got some very famous faces. But your face is the one we want to talk about the most. Let's talk about your role as Zeke, as one of the main lead porters, one of the good guys, as we say. How did you get that role? Like, how did this all begin for you, getting on that show?
You know what? It was the conventional process of auditioning. But I worked with one of the directors, Charles Officer, prior on A Killer's Escape. He did a film called A Killer's Escape. And at our rap party, he was like, hey, man, there might be this thing coming down the pipe that I think you might be good for. And I was like, all right, cool. But got the audition, was able to do the audition with Charles, one of the directors, RT, one of the directors, and Arnold Pinnock, the creator, one of the creators of the show. So I just did the regular auditioning process. I had about 2 or 3 auditions, and I was lucky enough to get the role of Zeke Gary.
So, like, at what moment did you get it? Like, did you know you got it?
You know what? It felt pretty good in the audition. I always have a pretty good idea when I'm actually doing the audition or after the audition's done, and you can kind of tell when people are like drawn into what you're doing. You know, especially like on Zoom auditions. You know, somebody would be like this, and then they're like, their face is like right in your screen, so you're like, all right, cool. But I had a pretty good idea, but I didn't hear back until maybe 3 or 4 months after the fact.
Oh, that's painful.
So
you had to live your life thinking maybe you didn't get it. What were you doing right before you were doing Porter?
I was when I heard about it, I was shooting a Lifetime movie.
Right. Yes, on Hallmark or not Hallmark, Lifetime. Yeah.
Yeah, Maps and Mistletoe. So I was shooting that, and then that's when I got the call that I got the part, which was pretty dope.
This is really set, I think, the bar for where you're at right now. Like, working with Kevin Hart now, oh my God, that's huge. Like, I'm just like, okay, well, he's made it huge. Congratulations, by the way. But the road, it takes a while for the fans and the media and how it works in film and TV, right? To be a staple actor in there and an A-list star and all that. But we see that just in your performance, you know, media aside, your acting carries. I don't know how to say it like that, but it carried it. Like,
you got really good range.
Such a big impact on the show when you're on screen. Your youth, your vibrancy, but the way like you shine through. I think a lot more like you're doing an accent actually with your role. You're completely different.
Yeah.
In different era, 1920s, the worst time for a black man ever, almost.
Oh, there's the worst time. Yeah. So it's really bad.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's a bad time, but yeah, there's a couple bad times. It's like pick a time range. But no, I appreciate you guys. Like I'm humbled, but you know, the journey. I just love doing this. It's great to get like accolades, but I love it's therapeutic. I get to be different things at different times and express almost every emotion. So it's just so good for me. Like that's why I'm so happy in everyday
You
life.
are. I can see it.
Okay, and so yeah, so you've done a
Vibrant.
bunch of future stuff with Star Trek, done a bunch of past stuff
Oh,
with
can we
Porter.
talk to you about Star Trek?
In a sec, I'm leading into something. Just like,
Okay.
what's like your dream project you'd love to work on in like 3 to 5 years?
I'd like to get into like the Marvel or DC universe.
You will.
Okay.
You will
You have like
it.
any special person you'd love to be?
You know what? I'd actually I want them to do a remake of Green Lantern.
John Stewart, or like a recap of Sting of one of the other ones?
No, John Stewart. John Stewart for sure. So that's one, and I would love to play like Bob Marley or Malcolm X.
Okay,
I could see Malcolm X for
that's
sure.
a very
Okay, we
serious
said it
role.
first. I'm here with said it first. It's gonna be.
I'm here with. Oh,
I'm
sorry.
here with said it first. We got it.
That was
Looking back.
like a sentence.
It was. It's the name of our magazine.
Oh, no,
Until we
amazing.
say, I'm
Yeah.
here with you or whatever. But also, I wanted to ask you, is this what you wanted to do as a child? Like, is this the dream to be an actor and share stories and just be incredible?
And be other people in other places and other times.
That's hilarious. You know what? It's crazy because I think by nature, I naturally did stuff like that. Like I used to do Michael Jackson dance performances for my family at gatherings, and I started acting in grade 6. And I was like, I always wondered, like while I was memorizing lines, I'm like, how am I even doing this? Like, how am I remembering this stuff? This is weird. I'm like, this is crazy. But I wasn't sure. It was one of my best friends that was always like, yo, I really think you should be doing this acting thing, man. I'm just like, I don't know. He's like, honestly, Ronnie, you should be doing it. And I remember I was playing ball actually out in Alberta. That's why I was out there. And I came back and I went to this acting workshop because it was just always something that I loved doing. And I remember I did this performance and an agent came up to me. She's like, hey, do you have an agent? I'm like, no. She's like, well, you do now. And that's kind of how I kind of just jumped into the whole acting thing. But I just love just being a clown. I think I was always a class clown. I used to get too much trouble in school. So
But you got such a big smile. I bet you got away with some of it.
I tried to.
No?
I tried my darndest.
Oh my goodness. So we also have a few more questions that we wrote down, but we're going with the flow today. Right? We're
Please.
going with the flow.
You want us to Star Trek or something?
Yeah, let's start from the beginning. Okay, we've got quite an eclectic roles that you played across the board here until the Porter here. So, why don't you ask about the Star Trek?
Okay,
series?
so so you were on the bridge most of the time,
Mhm.
but you
In Star
weren't.
Trek.
But you weren't one of the top 3 characters. It was definitely the Michael Burnham show.
For sure.
So, like, how did you feel? Like, do you feel like you should have done more, had more to say, developed more?
I would have.
Were you happy with what they did with you?
At first, you're just happy to be there. It's Trek. It's like this is iconic. This is a huge franchise. But yeah, there came a point where I just wanted to do more. I wanted to be more involved in the story, just because it's such a great story. You know what I mean? And you want to feel like you're a main contributor in that. So later on, I really I was hoping to do more, and because I wasn't, I was like, all right, cool. Let me see what else is there while I can still do this, and that's how the Porter came along.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense, actually.
Yeah, yeah.
Because then they added the whole book character in, which kind of maybe stole some of what you might have done.
For sure, but David Ajala's my guy. He's amazing in the show, and he's fun to watch. So it's all good.
All right, it all worked out.
So, I gotta ask, growing up, you said that you're out of Toronto, so it's a big city, but you've traveled here and there. You've got some Cuban and Panama roots as well.
My grandparents. Yeah,
I can see the Cuban in you very much.
I
Yeah.
can't.
I can for sure. I was wondering when I was watching you, what your background was because
His
you had
background is being a cool dude.
well, can you,
Exactly.
do you speak any other languages as well?
No. I
Okay.
just English like Jamaican, like patois.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
that's
That's
so
cool.
cool.
Yeah.
One of our cover stars, it was half Jamaican as well. We
Mm.
are Romanian ourselves,
She
and
is,
we
not
love
me.
diversity and supporting
She is.
all types of people. Anyways, let's get more into the Porter. We love this. We love this. Let's get more into your role as Zeke. How do
Mhm.
you get into characters? As soon as you got that Porter outfit on and everybody's
Yes, okay,
dressed
so
in
okay,
their
so what
20s.
so what was the process for you getting into character?
Well,
How did you become Zeke?
the creator he gave us a lot of references like articles, books, and I watched a lot of interviews or listened to a lot of interviews that porters did. So I did as much research as I could to just see what these men were about, and it was so crazy how very joyous they were doing what they were doing. You know what I mean? They always found a way to to be uplifting or bright, because the only way that they really made money was through tips. Right? They didn't really make money doing the job. They had to rely on tips to actually make a living.
Right at the beginning of the show, right? They're like passing off money to each other behind the scenes, working, and there's some things happening that you don't know what's going on, really. I'm just like, hey, they're not just super innocent, are they? Your character goes through quite a bit.
Yeah, for sure.
Losing somebody, having to experience pay issue. I thought that was an interesting topic within the project because in Hollywood the pay gap for
Well,
women
it's not
and
just
men, all the
it's not
things.
just Hollywood. It's everywhere right now.
It is everywhere because of COVID. Even I'm not sure if that topic's brought up
Yeah.
because of it again,
Yeah,
but
wage gaps are everywhere. It's a big thing.
about people having to survive.
Yeah.
And having to take care of your family. And like, I love how it's such a family
Very
feel
strong
show,
themes.
but very dramatic and all the things. But
For
it's
sure.
very relatable because of having the survival issue and looking like you're doing okay as well.
Yeah, making it timeless.
Yeah, it's one of those things, and you guys asked how I prepped for it. Real life as well. Being a black man, I've experienced racism and all that good stuff. So, you draw from your truths, and that's one of the things I do within my art is I remember things, I remember feelings, and I go back to them or revisit how I felt in a time and bring that into my work.
So I also had another question about where you're hoping the character is going to go. Like season 2, what do we got? What do we know? What can we share about the Porter season 2?
You know what? We're still waiting to hear what's really
Okay.
going on, but I know they're in the writing room and they've been really tight-lipped with even me about it. So
We'll announce
I
it when
know.
we're allowed to.
Yeah,
You got some.
go
really,
ahead.
You got some really good energy and potential right now. Like it really wouldn't take much for you to like come up to Canada and make like some kind of crime show, be like the cop that solves the crime every week.
Hey, listen, Luther did great. I wouldn't mind a Canadian Luther, man.
Oh yes.
It's,
Yeah,
but
there's a lot of race issues we could explore with Canada that aren't really explored enough.
very true,
We're
very
trying
true.
to
And I
be
think,
peaceful up here. We don't want to talk about that too much here, really, guys.
We need to
but I
talk about
think,
it a little.
but I think that's the great thing about the show is that it sheds light on parts of history that people aren't very knowledgeable about or don't know much about, and how like these gentlemen, these people were so integral to Canadian history, not just Black history, like Canadian history.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think it's really important for people to just know that, because I think with information it allows for relatability, and then with relatability we can have conversations.
Yeah, that's one of the big things I'm with right now. We need to have like a shared understanding of like what words mean, what history was, where we can really move forward.
And the true history. So you know how history
like-
is getting rewritten here these
And too
days.
much stuff is hidden from people.
Like exactly, a
Which
whole lot.
proves
You
what
know,
happened with your cult. Yeah, it's bad. Yeah.
Like
So
every year, I'm finding out more stuff I just was not taught in high school.
yeah,
I mean, that's one of
lies.
the
Yep.
things with the Porter. I was like, why didn't I know about how integral these guys were to Canadian history, but also the civil rights movement, all of this good stuff? Because it's a Porter that actually bailed Rosa Parks out.
Okay.
It's a Porter that asked Martin Luther King to do the bus boycott. You know,
It's an
so
iconic role that you've
Yeah,
played.
those,
That's
those
for
are
sure. It is.
those are
Yeah.
some big things.
You know,
but
you've had a lot of media about how amazing your performance is, and they dive into all of that. But it's like I want people to know who is Ronnie. You know, like behind the scenes of being like a famous actor.
Okay,
What's
so
important to you?
yeah,
You
like
know,
who are you when you're not
yeah.
acting?
What do you like to do when you're not? You know, like you got family. I'm sure.
yeah, you know what? I'm just a pretty low key guy. But I'm all about practicing what I preach and leading by example. So, you know, if I'm telling people, like on my Instagram, if you checked it out, I'm always telling people to go out and do stuff. It's because I do it myself.
You're a
And
motivator.
I try to be, and I try to motivate by doing. You know, a lot of people use their words and say you should do this, but aren't doing it themselves. And
Yeah.
I just like to lead by example and offer people the ability to see potential. You know, like we all have potential, and
Mhm.
I'm just an example of what happens when you do
Yes.
certain things.
Yeah, you are that example. Because you're
And
Canadian as well. You live out in Toronto, but you're
yeah,
actually in California now because, of course, you're a big deal. Everybody has spent some time out there. Well, it's
right,
just a fact, right? You
it's
got to
part of it.
meet
Yeah,
these producers, meet people want to meet you out there eventually. You got to be out there. But we
and
haven't lost you yet to Canada yet, have we?
no, I'll always be Canadian. I'll always be
Okay,
Canadian. But you
love
know,
that.
like the U.S. market gets a little bit bigger. You know,
Thank
so
God for it. Make us look good. That's all I can say.
just trying to represent, just trying to represent for our Canadians out here. You know.
Are you starting to go to awards and events out
Like a bunch of premieres and stuff like that. So I'm getting
there?
to see a bunch of movies before people do, which is pretty great. Um, but yeah, just the weather and just the energy. Just the energy is just fantastic. Yeah, weather's huge.
Very cool. Well, if there's anything out there ever in my LA network of people, which was, I got a few people out there, I know, no big deal. I'll definitely maybe connect you because we'd love to do a photo shoot with you, but we can't
Oh,
because we're not together. But
that'd be
maybe we
epic.
could set something up out there one day. But what's your schedule like nowadays? Like you just, you're not filming Porter right now, but you just the movie with Kevin Hart just dropped the trailer.
Yep.
So what else
Yep.
you got coming up the pipes?
So right now it's that, and just honestly, just getting ready for the next thing. But because we're waiting to see what's going on with the Porter, I have to kind of wait to see what's going on with that
Okay.
before I go elsewhere. So
Review. So
yeah,
when you take a role, right? I don't think people even understand that. Like for you, yes, it's a job, you guys, of course, but it's a legacy. So everything now that you do going forward is like your view, and I'm sure you got your people behind you saying, "Okay, watch what you do." And you can't just take anything anymore. So we're so
yeah.
excited you said yes to us today.
Oh no, come on. Like I just love talking to people. You know what I mean? Yeah, I think it's one of the greatest things that you can do is connect with people. But yeah, yeah, just
You're so
I feel
humble.
like
Oh my goodness.
Okay,
Very
it's
good.
so
what?
that's inspirational time.
Oh yeah,
Okay,
So
cool.
he's all
what
about that on
so like
socials.
what do you want people to take away? Like what do you want to tell people when times are hard?
Oh yeah, we need that.
When times are hard, I think it's celebrate your victories that you can tangibly see. And I always say, if you've woken up, it's an opportunity to get you one step closer to where you're trying to get to. So yeah, things may not be great, but you're still alive and you can still change the trajectory of where you currently are. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We have the
So
power, eh?
yeah,
No,
yeah.
really.
So it's the art of being thankful for even the opportunity to get to do another day. And I think if you start from just being that basic with like, hey, I'm here, now I can choose what I'm going to do, that's when you could start looking at things a little bit different. But if you wake up and you're just like, oh, everything sucks, unfortunately, it's you've already started the day in a negative
Yeah.
context. But if you're like, oh man, thank you, I'm alive and I can at least change what I don't like about what my life has been, then it's looking at the same day but completely different. One's not so great, and one's gonna have you looking at things a little bit better if something crappy happens throughout the day.
Wow.
Okay,
Gratitude is a big
that's
thing,
good.
I guess.
That's good.
Yeah, we see that in you. Like you're super perky and happy. And I'm like, this guy's not that happy all the time. No way. Well, it seems like you are. Totally. That's exactly who you are online. You
Well,
show
'cause
who you
I
are
got to
for sure.
I got to work out this morning too, and that helps a lot. I think being physically like connected to your body, just doing
Yep.
stuff and just being connected and finding time for yourself. I think that's also very important because in this day and age, things are so fast paced and we're always trying to get somewhere, but not really just appreciating that you've come a long way from where you were. So celebrate that, sit in that for a second, and then use it as momentum to keep going.
My gosh, we will. I can't believe we got to sit with you, one of the biggest stars on the Porter. You got to work with some huge stars in your career, but they're pretty lucky they got to work with you as well.
I'm very thankful for each and every opportunity, and I'm